Welcome to Off-Grid Victory. So today I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. First of all, yeah, we've had some wacky weather here in the Ozarks, as a lot of the Midwest has. We had a really late frost, and so last week we went down here to about 23 degrees overnight, and that was enough to put ice and frost on the ground. And yeah, it did some pretty destructive things to some of these fruit trees. I'll show you one of them. For instance, this mulberry tree right here, as you can see, all these leaves, well, up here as well. Let me show you here and here. Yeah, they were just totally decimated. However, I mean, you can see right here, there's still life and there's still some greens, and a week from now it'll probably have more greens and they'll be back to shape again. But yeah, it did do some destruction, that late frost, and it was just one day overnight, so even that brief time it could do some damage. So this particular mulberry tree is going to take a little while to get back on its feet. The rest of my orchard here, my main orchard, the trees are doing fine. But that is not the nature of the video today. The video today is about this particular tree right here, and I'm about to plant that. And so yeah, most of my trees here in my main orchard are fruit-bearing trees, whether it be apples, pears, cherries. I think I have some nectarines in here, very few, but they don't really work well here. In the Ozarks, the main things that work well here are pear trees, and so yeah, I have mostly pear trees. Then I have apple trees, and after that I have cherry trees. But one of the things that I don't really have a lot of are these guys right here, and this one is a nut tree, right? So you know, I titled this "Don't Forget Your Nuts." So anyway, yeah, this happens to be a chestnut tree. Got it at my local Wally World. Highly doubt that it's from China, but who knows? Wally World. At any rate, yeah, it's a chestnut tree, and you know, it's one of those trees that should have been planted first. As I've stated in some of my other videos, this particular orchard is probably well into its sixth year for most of these trees. Some were replaced, so some are a little bit younger, but most of these trees are pretty established and fairly big. And I really should have done that with the nut trees as well. So chestnuts are a fruit-bearing tree, nut tree that actually does well here in the Ozarks. And so the only problem is I haven't been able to find good chestnut trees, and that's what really took a long time for me to get them planted. I've tried some early on and they didn't make it. Now I planted pecans as well, and they have made it, and obviously in the Ozarks and even as far south as Texas, pecans do pretty well. So hopefully those are establishing and those will do well, but I do need to plant a couple more nut-bearing trees. And so yeah, I got two of these chestnut trees that I need to plant somewhere. Unlike most of my trees here that are planted 20 to 30 feet apart, depending on which rows they're in, this one's going to need much more space because the chestnut tree gets pretty darn big. And so yeah, I'm going to try to give it a 30 foot diameter, and so that'll have plenty of room to grow in the future and become a very large tree. And so yeah, this is going to get planted probably outside of this orchard, and what I will do is I have some mulch in there and some extra soil, and then I'm going to go ahead and use some of my chicken fertilizer on it. But yeah, don't forget the nut trees. Fruit trees are all good and dandy, but you know, when you get a wacky frost like we did, you'll lose some of that fruit. And so yeah, some of these fruit trees, some of the fruit were lost because of that late season frost, but not the end of the world. I mean, there's still a good amount of fruit on these trees. But and certainly some trees like the mulberry tree, the leaves are highly susceptible to frost. So unfortunately, that's going to take a little while to come back. But the nut trees, yeah, they'll fare much better, yeah, they'll give you a large yield once they fully mature. And of course, this particular area, there are native nut trees like black walnut and to some extent pecans, I guess. A lot of hickory trees around here. Whether it's the shaggy bark variety or the smooth. And so yeah, don't forget your nut trees. It's hard to kind of steal the hickory nuts from the squirrels. I think I gotta do some more squirrel hunting, I guess, if I want to pick up those nuts. But definitely something like a chestnut is what I want to really eat, and that's my preference. So I'm going to be planting them, and in about 5 years from now, hopefully I'll have a tree that produces some good nuts, some good fruit. Alrighty, shalom.